Welcome to the Deep Dive. You bring the curiosity, we bring the sources, and together we dig into something fascinating.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So today, we're zeroing in on a word that's probably crossed your path, maybe made you wonder a bit. Diatribe. You were curious about it, what it really means, where it came from, and how it actually plays out in conversation.
Right. So that's our mission today.
Exactly. We'll start by trying to pin down a clear definition, then we'll explore its kind of surprising history.
And then look at how it pops up in books and just everyday talk. Should be interesting.
Let's do it. So the definition first. What are we talking about when we say diatribe now?
Okay, so in today's world, a diatribe is usually a speech or maybe something written that's just full of strong emotion, often negative emotion, and lots of criticism.
Intense is the word that comes to mind.
Definitely intense. Think of it as a really forceful, sometimes bitter way of showing disapproval. Sources like Merriam-Webster, English Leaflet, the Free Dictionary, they all point to this harsh, even abusive kind of condemnation.
Yeah, it's certainly not a, calm, measured discussion.
Not at all.
English Leaflet made a good point that really stuck with me. It's typically very one-sided, aggressive even, driven more by, powerful feelings than by logic or reason.
Right. That unrestrained passion is key, and it often goes on for a bit, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Relationship Help and English Leaflet both mention that it's often prolonged, and it can get bitter, abusive, even sarcastic, not exactly great for building bridges.
No kidding. And if you want to get a feel for just how intense it is, think about the company it keeps, the synonyms.
Ah, right. What are some of those?
Well, the sources give us quite a list. Harangue, Jeremiad, Philippic, Rant, tirade. Also invective, polemic, screed, denunciation, vituperation. Quite the collection.
Oh, yeah. They all sound pretty heavy.
They are. Each one has a slightly different flavor, but that core feeling of strong, angry disapproval is there. Philippic, that originally meant a fiery attack on a political figure. Real condemnation.
Okay, so that's the modern feel.
Yeah.
You mentioned a surprising history.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. This word diatribe, it comes from Greek, the word diatribe.
Okay.
And back then it meant something more like pastime or just discourse, conversation.
Pastime. Seriously.
Yeah.
How do you get from pastime to bitter verbal attack?
Well, the roots are digeia, meaning through, and tribiving, which means to rub or wear away.
Huh. Like you're rubbing away at a topic through discussion.
Exactly. Word Pandit and Etymonline both point this out. It started neutral, maybe even positive. It was about spending time exploring ideas.
So like philosophical chats?
Pretty much. In ancient Greece, these diatribes were often philosophical discussions. Think Socratic method, maybe. Traveling philosophers used them to teach, to really examine an idea from all sides. Resounding the Faith talks about this wearing away the subject matter through close study.
And the Latin form?
Latin diatriba also meant something like learned discussion. So for a long time, it was associated with serious, thoughtful engagement.
Learned discussion. Merriam-Webster even hints these could be the ancestors of, modern sermons, a formal talk on a topic.
It's possible, yeah. It shows just how much the meaning has shifted. It's almost a complete flip.
So when did it turn sour, so to speak?
It seems the change really took hold in English around the 16th, maybe 17th century. That's when it started to pick up this negative sense of, bitter, abusive criticism.
Any idea why?
Etymonline suggests maybe some influence from French usage around that time helped push it in that negative direction. But it's a striking example of language evolving, isn't it?
Absolutely. A word going from, a thoughtful pastime to angry rant.
Pretty much.
Okay, so definition clarified, history explored.
Yeah.
What about now? How do we see diatribes playing out today?
Oh, they're everywhere, really. Word Pandit mentions the obvious places like social media rants. We've all seen those.
Yeah, definitely.
Strongly worded opinion pieces in the news, maybe arguments in entertainment, but also just in everyday disputes between people.
Right. And Relationship Help draws a really useful line between a diatribe and actual dialogue.
Yeah, that's crucial. A diatribe is basically one person holding court, just letting loose. It's a monologue, essentially.
Whereas dialogue is supposed to be an exchange, a back and forth.
Exactly. With a diatribe, you're kind of just the audience, maybe the target, but not really a participant in a conversation.
So why do people do it? Relationship Help had some thoughts on the motivations, right?
It did. It suggests it can come from insecurity, actually, like a fear of being wrong, maybe. Or sometimes it's just poor communication skills.
Or maybe wanting to dominate.
That too. Wanting to win the argument by just overpowering the other person with volume or, sheer number of words. Valuing being right over the relationship, perhaps.
That makes sense. So if you find yourself on the receiving end of one,
Mm.
what then? Any advice?
Yeah, the advice is pretty practical. First, try to maintain your boundaries. Don't get sucked into the emotion if you can help it. Stay calm.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, for sure. But also try to recognize it's often more about the person delivering it, their frustration or insecurity, than it is about you personally.
That's a helpful perspective.
And you can try expressing that you want a more balanced, two-way conversation. But ultimately, you might just need to be prepared to, bend the conversation if it stays completely one-sided and aggressive. Protect your peace.
Right. It's interesting, too, that connection back to the origin tribene, to rub. Resounding the Faith mentioned this idea of rubbing someone the wrong way.
Yeah. That original sense of prolonged engagement, of influence. Well, in a modern diatribe, that rubbing creates friction, irritation, not understanding. It's like engagement gone bad.
It really is. And one last point from Word Pandit, using the word diatribe itself.
Yes. It's considered sort of an intermediate to advanced word. It's probably more common in writing than in casual chat.
And people might mix it up with rant or tirade.
Easily. They're close, but diatribe maybe carries a bit more weight, suggests something particularly bitter or abusive, perhaps more structured than a simple rant.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've seen diatribe has this really fascinating double life. Started as thoughtful discourse, a way to wear away a topic.
And ended up as this term for a sharp, bitter, often one-sided verbal assault.
Right. It's used powerfully in literature to show intense criticism. And in our own lives, it can signal, communication breakdown and maybe some underlying issues for the speaker.
Which kind of leads to a final thought for you, the listener. Now that you've got this richer picture of diatribe, how might you spot it differently in conversations, in the media?
Yeah, and does knowing its origin, that idea of prolonged discussion, change how you think about or maybe even respond to that kind of intense communication when you encounter it?
Something to chew on. And maybe it makes you curious about those related words too. Polemic, harangue. What are the subtle differences there?
Always more to explore. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Until next time.